Chief Terry Paul of the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs with us now. First of all, sir, your reaction to the 4 federal cabinet ministers commenting this morning?
Well, it sounded positive for us, and I can say that 3 of those 4 ministers reaffirmed our treaty rights and reaffirmed the Marshall Decision of 1999.
The ministers were talking about their negotiations with the Mi'kmaq. Do you agree with that characterization?
We don't call it negotiations. Negotiations ended back in 1760-61 when our treaty was affirmed. And what we're asking the federal government to do, the DFO, is to work with us in implementing our community livelihood fishery plans.
So that's what these discussions are about, these so-called nation-to-nation discussions that DFO and the ministers responsible are having with you. Can you tell us, is there progress, any progress being made here?
Well, thus far, we've met with the ministers yesterday, Sunday, a good couple hours, and we had a thorough discussion on about the issues and also like the potential steps that we can take to help resolve these issues very quickly. So we're taking their word that they will be doing that. In fact, we do have a meeting scheduled for Thursday.
Is it your sense that we're close to something here?
I don't want to say that it's close. We're hoping that it is. We feel that we have a clear understanding. What we need to do is to ensure that the federal government has the same vision as we do, and they assured us of that, and that we sit down together and come up with a plan, a really good plan to move forward.
You know, years ago, the courts did reaffirm that treaty right for the Mi'kmaq to fish. The courts later clarified this whole issue of a regulated fishery. In your mind, who regulates your fishery?
Well, with the help of the DFO, we would regulate our fishery. We believe that we have a right to develop and establish our fishing rules. And I believe that any entity needs to have rules in order to ensure that the conservation and the sustainability of the species that we're fishing is ensured.
So then, practically speaking, would you foresee ultimately a separate fishery that would be run parallel to the existing commercial fishery?
That's a possibility, and that's the option that's what we're looking at.
The Mi'kmaq already have many commercial fishery licenses at this point. Why not just fish those in season and share in the wealth of the fishery that way?
Because we would not be exercising our right to fish for our livelihood if we were to do that. Most of the communities, and they're normally owned and operated by the band councils in those communities, and we feel that we should continue also into the commercial fishing.
But you can't make your livelihood just in the commercial fishery?
No, it's not a right. It's a licensed fishery, and anyone can get in that licensed fishery as long as you're Canadian.
When you think about it, how do you define moderate livelihood?
That's a really difficult question, and I know many others have been asked to that, and I don't think that you can really put a quantity on it or an amount, but it's what it means to us is that we have a right to fish for a livelihood that's able to look after ourselves and our families.
So it's something beyond sort of just general subsistence.
Of course.
Right now, the lobster fishery is run as a so-called efforts-based fishery. So you fish a certain number of traps as hard as you like for a set period of time. So would you be ultimately proposing somewhat more of a quota-based system?
Well, the amount of the fishery that we have, and like I said, we will have rules, and it will be known what we're catching, how much we're catching. We need to know that ourselves to ensure that the conservation measures are adhered to. We, we've been fishing the waters in Nova Scotia for thousands of years, and it's and sustainably. Like Minister Jordan said, the conservation is not an issue right now. You know, and the small scale of our modern livelihood fishery amounts to about 1% of the total fishery. The season does not exist. It was created for commercial markets. So, to us, it's an empty reason as to why we can't fish in our seasons where we feel it's the best time, and also we're not being hassled by commercial fishery.
Chief Paul, that's all the time we have for. We'll probably be speaking about this issue again in the near future. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem, Tom.